Are you a business owner that's been thinking about purchasing a home in the next year or maybe two, or even right now? I'm Aphrodite with Keller Williams Southern Nevada, and I brought Ivan onto my show from Vantage Mortgage so that he could cover all of the requirements and so much more about purchasing a home as a business owner. Stay tuned. All right. Hi, Ivan. How you doing? Thank you so much for coming on to my show today. I appreciate you. Why don't
Thank
you tell me
you.
a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a loan consultant with Home Vantage Bank. I've been doing this now for a total of 6 years, going on 7 years. I started back in 2004, 2005. Then the mortgage industry crashed, and I got out of it completely. I was like, "This is a lot. I gotta get out of it." And then I started back again almost 2 years ago now, and it's been going great. I love helping clients or helping first-time home borrowers get ready for one of the biggest purchases that they're about to make, and then also helping those first-time home buyers move into their second home in the future. So yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely was looked through your culture, how you represent yourself, and I'm really happy to hear that you help families build generational wealth. That's part of the major reason why I'm in real estate myself as an agent. And but with everything that's been going on with COVID, I've noticed a lot of individuals transferring into becoming business owners,
Mhm.
as well as just in our era in general, business ownership has increased dramatically. So I wanted to bring you on specifically today to help educate business owners on what are the basic requirements that they need in order to be able to purchase a home as a business owner.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I'm glad that you brought it up because I feel like there's not a, there's not a lot of people that are talking about helping business owners become homeowners. So the biggest challenge is you're a business owner and you don't want to pay a lot in taxes, right? We all want to avoid the taxes, so that's great, but I tell my business owners that can hinder you when you're looking to get pre-approved, right? Let's just say, for example, we have a business owner that makes on paper 500,000 a year, but with all of his tax write-offs and everything that he's writing off, he makes 50, 60,000, right? Because he doesn't want to pay those taxes. So that's the biggest challenge that I'm trying to have business owners change their thinking and their shift their mindset of like it's you're going to have to pay taxes because you want to become a homeowner and you want to qualify for more house or a bigger house, right? Besides obviously them having good credit, them having money for down payment. That is the biggest thing is making sure that they're right on their taxes with all their schedules, and making sure that they don't write off their entire earnings, because in the long term that will affect them in the long run.
Right. It does. And um, I actually was an accountant before I became a real estate agent. So I understand a little bit more about the business world and how they're filing from an LLC. Are they a C Corp? What have you not? How are they making the choice to file? How does their specific, like, let's say they're an LLC or sole proprietor, what are the basic differences between that tax wise documentation that they need to provide to you?
So the documentation wise, it's just the schedules that we'll need to obtain, right? Their schedules that we'll need to receive from them. In regards to the pre-qualification and how that functions, it's still the exact same thing. Whatever, at the end of the day, whatever the business is making or whatever you're taking home, that's what we can qualify you off of. So, like I said, if you're making 500,000 and you write everything off because you don't want to pay tons of taxes, which who does, right? The sad part is that's what we can qualify. Even if you're paying yourself a salary, we still we still look at it as, okay, you're losing money here in the business though. Yes, you're still paying yourself, but you're still the owner of the business. So they're they try to have like these loops or try to come up with some creative ways of not paying taxes by paying themselves a salary. But at the end of the day, they're still the business owner, right? And that's who's paying them. So we still have to hit them for that. So I'm glad that you're making, that we're doing this so that we can educate business owners, because a lot of times they don't really understand what goes into the lending aspect and how we qualify them. So again, the most important part is making sure that they're in the green and that we have a game plan, because also they have to take into account that we average that out over 24 months. So say 2 years ago they lost money and they didn't make a lot, right? And then this year they want to claim more. We average that out over 24 months, and that's your salary, or that's what you're making on paper. And a lot of times it comes out very, very low because they're starting to get the hang of it, like, oh, I got to claim more to make more to buy the house.
Right. And probably to be able to do a lot of other things too, even when it comes to like business credit, etc.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it gets complicated. What about a P&L? Are those usually required when it comes to receiving a loan for a home?
Yes. And so depending on the loan, we do obtain P&Ls, and they do have to come from an accountant, especially right now because of COVID. They have to be certified by their accountant, not just something that you can just whip up really quick and say, oh, this is my P&L, this is how it looks. Okay, but it has to, because we've had business we've had business owners that have sent us P&Ls, and it's just like 4 lines. I'm like, hey, this is what my P&L is, and this is what, but okay, but we need a breakdown of the details of what's in your P&L, and it has to come from an accountant or their CPA, with the letterhead of the CPA or the accountant, not just a blank document. But I mean, it's a process, and the good thing is we're making this content, we're creating this content to educate business owners, because at the end of the day, they're more focused on making money for their family and providing for their family. They're not really thinking about, oh man, I'm going to buy a house in a year. What do I need to do? So I'm glad that you asked me to come on and create the awareness.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, if there's anything else that you think that we could generally compartmentalize about what business owners could benefit from, are there any programs or?
So there's no specific program, and I know that we had talked about before we started the meeting, is there are special tax write-offs that, because if you do business in your house, if you do, like if you have an office in your house, you're able to have that as a tax write-off, right? Especially if you're about to buy a house. There's like small little tax write-offs, and I'm pretty sure that you know about them if you're doing business in your house, or even if you take phone calls in a certain room always, that there are like special tax write-offs. In regards to programs, they're the exact same for everybody, right? Where you got your first time home buyer program, you got down payment assistance programs if you qualify for them, you got conventional, we got the USDA loan. So they're entitled to all the same financing, but again, the tricky part is making sure that they're claiming the right amount of money on their taxes. And we're not asking them to do anything illegal. It's just that we're asking them, hey, do you need to write off $300,000 this year in losses, right?
Right.
And the sooner that they get with us or a realtor like yourself, the better it is for them. Even if they're thinking about buying in a year or 2 years, it's the perfect time to meet with us, because we'll get them prepared to buy a house in a year or 2 years.
Right. It's so important. And people out there, they begin a business, or even if they're W-2 employees and they convert over to 1099, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things of this nature, staying up to par and having your professionals in your corner, especially like yourself. I love that you've got so much to bring to the table and providing clarity. So,
Yeah.
and it's all about preparation and promoting that. And thank you so much for coming on and bringing clarity. And I'll make sure that we list some info so people can reach out.
Yes. Awesome.
Start now, sooner than later, right?
Yes. Start now. Even if you're thinking about buying in a year, 2 years, it's good to have, like you said, a team in your corner that's there to help you and guide you and get you prepared to buy in a year or 2 years. Because you could think that you're making the right decision for yourself and your business, but it could be harming you, especially if you don't seek professional help from a realtor or a lender, right? Especially one that has your background, which is awesome. You can definitely give them some insight.
Right. Yeah. I'll make sure that whenever it comes time to always get people in front of a lender first. And that's the most key part. Definitely having people in your corner, but talk to your financial advisor, talk to your lender, and then, and then come up with a mock up plan. It's so important. It is
Yes,
really important, especially to build that wealth. And it's funny because the business owners think that if they put themselves in this position, now they'll be able to have more financial gain, like you said, but in return, they're actually really harming themselves, and they could be missing out on that down assistance, a program that they could have utilized if they would have just bracketed it out just right, or
exactly.
right. And so
You did.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, thank
Yeah.
you
Thank
so
you for
much,
having me.
Ivan.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. And this was awesome. I hope we could do it again very, very soon.
I would love to. Have a blessed rest of your weekend. Okay, coming up.